Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
All right, so 2-5, we are like 900 effective. The guy in this is also kind of an idiot. I had seen him 4-bet King Jack offsuit
Okay.
earlier in the session.
Yeah.
So that tells you some things.
Mm-hmm.
So guy who's not the main villain limps in early position. I raise Black Jack 25. The villain defends in the big blind, and the limper calls.
So you get an early position limper. You're an MP1.
Mm-hmm.
You make it 25 with blackjacks, big blind, and the limper call.
Exactly.
How often are you seeing limps from up front in this game, just out of curiosity? Is it quite common?
I would say that at any individual table, 7 out of the 9 people or so have early position limp ranges.
Okay.
And most people have an open limp to button range too. So
Yeah. Okay.
there's some goofiness going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get a pretty good flop for jacks as far as they go. It's 9-8-4, I believe. There's certainly a no straight, so 9-8-4, we'll call it.
Yeah, 9-8-4 with 2 clubs, right?
9-8-4, 2 clubs.
Yep.
Checks to me, as I would expect it to.
Mm-hmm.
I bet 50 because obviously this is a pretty wet board that connects with the calling ranges, but I have value that I think I can get. So main villain rather quickly raises to 125, so just barely over a min raise.
Yep.
Limper folds, and I mean I like to call, even though this is one of the worst overpairs to defend against this aggression, it's still like you can't be folding overpairs to min raises, basically.
Right.
Unless you're really dead sure that the guy's an idiot.
Sure, and the reason why it's one of the worst ones, obviously, I mean, there's a couple reasons, right?
Block Jack 10.
Yeah, you block a lot of the draws. You've got a club in your hand, which blocks that. But remember, though, here on the flop, things change, right? You'd actually rather have a club in your hand to move across turns for your equity.
Right.
And then not have it facing turn aggression. You know, we've talked about that too. Just one little quick thing here about your C-bet, which I think is obviously fine. I think that a lot of people, when they start to get into poker theory, they're super wrapped up in, like I open under the gun here, and then 2 people in the field call, and the board comes out 9-8-4, or comes out like 9-8-6, and that hits a field calling range more than a C-betting range, so I'm going to check my entire range. And I think that's a pretty large mistake at these stakes. And if you ever watch the ante game on Live at the Bike that I play and commentate on, or the Friday 10-20 game, you'll see actually the good players, like the guy that's probably won the most, Chris, he has no fear about betting overpairs on boards like this. And the reason why is because your opponents aren't taking advantage of you and raising high equity draws on boards like this, recognizing that they actually have a nut advantage against you. So the exploit that you make is you just overbet.
Drop the hammer on you.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about people attacking. So this guy check raises to 125. You know, obviously it's sort of a small raise. He could possibly be doing this. I find it, people will usually do this with a higher single pair hand, like King Jack on like a King XX board. So it would be a little bit surprising if you had like a Ace 9 type of hand, but like you said, you're not going to fold an overpair here. So you make the call.
Exactly. And now I think we get certainly a turn card that is very good for me if I think that he's potentially on a draw, which is an 8. So an 8 that pairs the board. And now I believe gives us only one remaining combination of 9-8 suited that is possible.
Right. Okay.
If I'm remembering the distribution of suits correctly.
Yep.
And then obviously substantially cuts down those combos of 8s. 9s are still there, obviously.
Now that's assuming he doesn't go call in the big blind with 9-8 off, but okay.
That is assuming he does not call with 9-8 off.
Right.
9-8 off obviously increases the combination substantially.
Sure.
And now he bets 200, which
the other thing,
pot odds standpoint.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about this though too is that I do tend to see people, like if they had a pure 9-8 hand or pocket 4s, they like to slow play quite a bit. Right? Quad 8s, pocket 9s. A lot of times they're going to check. And then, you know, it's interesting if they check to you whether or not you give a card or not. Like, what would you have done if he checked to you here, given after the board pairs?
I think that I would probably check it back, just because I think that he's probably likely to continue to fire with his draws, but people love to trap full houses.
Right. So you're taking advantage of sort of an out of balance play, which I will commonly see too, because it's a little cat and mouse game here if he checks to you on the turn, because a lot of times, people will trap, obviously. And one of the tools that you can actually use sometimes, though, if you're in your opponent's position here, if you did have a draw and you made this play, I'm talking about you, Jesse, put yourself in your opponent's position, is you get yourself a reverse free card here by checking from up front, and a lot of times people will check back. Now here, here this guy bets 200 and the pot is what, 300? So he's betting 2/3 the size of the pot. By the way, you said it was 9-8-4. Do you know if the 8 was a club? Because sometimes people will check raise pair plus flush draws. Was the 8 a club on the flop? Do you remember that?
I think that the 9 and the 4 were clubs, so I think that 8x of clubs is possible.
Okay, because that's certainly a hand that somebody might have here occasionally, 9-8, which is a combo draw, and he would probably continue to bet here too as well. But
when he makes trips,
again,
absolutely.
I would definitely call here and then kind of see what the river brings and see what his bet sizing is. I mean, the pot is going to be like 700. You guys are going to have what, maybe like 600 or so, or maybe 550. Yeah,
right around a pot size bet.
Yeah, like if he bets and you call and the river's like a deuce and
he
rips. Yeah, I mean, I think you can start to look at that. Jacks is probably not one of the better hands here that we're going to call with and we block.
Overpair,
right,
that kind of thing,
right.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, this is where the hand becomes super uninteresting in that the river rolls off and off to Jack. So I now only lose to quads. He rips and I snap.
So river is Jack X and he rips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much he thinks for like 15 seconds and then rips it in.
Okay. So that's obviously easy for you, but let's play through a couple of different scenarios here. Let's say that you had like queens instead, right? Probably played the same way. And now he rips a jack. You don't think one of the other things too that I would say is that, players at this level aren't going to now rip Jack 10 as a bluff when they river top pair.
Right.
So if you have queens here, what would you do?
That one would be close. Against guys who have some real move in their game, I definitely might call because I don't know. I mean, I guess he's very unlikely to rip Jack 10 if he pairs. So you're only really looking at what's the other end, like 7-6, which is the sucker end of the open ender.
Yeah.
And then clubs. Yeah. I mean, on reflection, against most people, I would probably pitch queens in that spot, just because I don't. He will rip a full house now, assuming that he decided to put it into the line of playing it, of continuing to drop the hammer.
Right. And the other interesting thing is that, like, say you had aces here with the ace of clubs, right? So that he can't have the nut flush draw. It's sort of the same hand equivalency. I mean, it's up higher in your range, but I just don't see this.
And then you just get into thinking that you have to defend with something.
Yeah, but I just...
Other than Jack.
If you think somebody's exploiting you. So you ripped, and what did he end up having? He ripped and you called.
Yeah, he ripped, I snapped, and as soon as I put the call in, which I did immediately, he sized and said 6 high.
Wow. So 6-7 here.
I guess.
Oh, 6
so
high?
7 high.
So, or I guess maybe 5-6 of clubs. I mean, that would make them 5-6 of clubs, which is sort of like the bottom end of a gut shot and a flush draw. It's not a bad hand for him to check raise.
Yeah.
One of his worst flush draws. Possibly get higher clubs out in between. Straight draws too, can't really call. Don't have to worry about the Jack 10, something like that. And then, the hand sort of plays out after that, similar to what I would think. I'd have to have a real good strong read here if I actually had an overpair to make this call, but it's definitely interesting. I don't know how often you're going to be good here. Like given the pot odds, you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Certainly shows the value of paying attention to watch people 4-bet King Jack offsuit, though.
Yeah, for sure. Jesse, thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.